Man, what's the motherfucking deal, Sauce Nation? It's your boy Ed Honcho, a.k.a. the real Ed Honcho, and this is a Sauce Sports special. If you don't know what Sauce Sports is a Houston Homer channel. So we talking Astros, Rockets, Dynamo, Texans. We talk about the Cougs. We talk about the Owls. We talk about the Dash. We talk about whoever. We talking collegiate, professional. We talking amateur, high school, whatever it may be. Houston athletes, Houston teams. You know, all that good shit. And as most of you know how it goes, I'm changing some things up. You know, usually if this is the point where I mention about if you ain't pre-roll, you're out of control. If you didn't check my very important message video, you need to tune into that to see a few changes that I plan on making on the channel. Some other things that I want to do too. But like I say, we'll talk about that on the side, and we'll talk about it towards the end. Today, we're going to talk a little bit of Texans, of course, because we in NRG. You know, when we in NRG, when we in the stadium, you know, we talking Texans, as you can see in the background. But today, I want to talk about the linebackers, because I've spent a lot of time talking about that line and just how excited I am. I mean, when it comes to defense, period, y'all know that's my thing. That's what gets me amped up, just thinking about the mid-mo, getting their heads knocked, just getting smashed. It's just, I love defense. I love defense. I love the hard hits. I love interceptions, the change of direction, those type of things. Man. Anyway, when I started thinking about it, I just started imagining all these playmakers that we have and just the potential and the possibilities. But like I said, let's talk about the household names first, and then we'll get into some of the lesser known, some of the up and comers, some of the guys that we should definitely be paying attention to. I got to say, maybe I forgot it was in there's no fucking music playing. Anyway, so of course, let's talk about the old guard, the man in the middle, well, the inside. The longest tenured LB, of course, a staple in that Texans defense, Brian Cushing. And something I've been saying about Brian Cushing for a long time, even with the emergence of when Watt came, and Watt is not a linebacker. I know this, but I used to argue with Texans fans all the time. When Cushing got hurt those years, you saw how the defense declined. And I told him before that, I say, man, Watt is good, Watt is great. And I'm almost saying like I'm saying a prayer before a meal or something, but Watt is good, Watt is great. But Cushing has the defense goes. As Cushing goes, that defense goes. Now, that was, before McKinney. McKinney's definitely stepped up a notch and been taking over a lot of Cushing's role in certain aspects, and I expect to see more of that. But Cushing still is the quarterback of that defense. He is the guy that put people in place. He's the guy that, made sure everything was in line and as it should be. And you notice those years where he got hurt, you saw that steep decline in the defense. Watt was still there. So what was the difference? The difference was that Cushing was not there to put people where they needed to be with his skill. He was the defensive quarterback, for the Texans, essentially the defensive field general, if you will. Now, I'm going to be honest, man. I love Cush, and I like Brian Cushing. But with that, I think the Texans have maybe this year possibly picked up his replacement. They got a couple of undrafted guys and a couple of guys that a guy they did draft in Cunningham. But my thing about Cunningham is I know a lot of guys, a lot of people are saying that they're going to move him inside, but I just see that guy's an outside backer. I don't know, but like I say, a lot of people saying they're trying to get some size on him, that he's going to play inside. And if they can get him to play inside, then he's definitely the guy. And he keeps that speed and that playmaking ability that he has. He's definitely going to be Cush's replacement. But, from the film I've seen on him, he was much smaller, I'm sure. The guy just looked like an outside guy, but we have a lot of talent at outside backer, and like I say, to segue into that, like talking about Mercilus. The man has no mercy. And the dude has one of the greatest. We got two guys on the team with great football names, Tom Savage and Whitney Mercilus. Savage, Mercilus. Oh my God, those are two great football names. Now, if they both execute next year, then I'll be extremely happy. I have absolutely no complaints about either one of those. But with that being said, Mercilus has blossomed, started to become a household name. When you mention the likes of Watt and Clowney, they're starting to talk about Mercilus also in the national media. Now, we knew what we had here. I know a lot of people weren't high on him initially when we first drafted him. There were some complaints, but as he started to emerge And he's that piece that, I mean, he's the guy to the point where he doesn't necessarily need Watt or Clowney, taking up that extra traffic or doing anything extra. Anybody, he makes plays on his own accord, which is awesome because he's blossomed into a I wouldn't say a premier pass rusher, but he's definitely made a name for himself. You have to know where Mercilus is on the field, but he's steadily working his way up. And then, like I say, he's been missing some pieces in the last few years, and I think he will only get better. He's only going to improve. And he's been doing the JPP thing way before JPP with the missing finger, which is, I always wondered how that affects the gameplay because, like I say, I know, well, he's an outside linebacker, so he's not handing the ground. But I believe he played, I want to say he played a little bit of hand when he came out. But putting that hand in the ground and, that finger missing, I wonder how that affects, anything. But like I say, him being an outside linebacker, he doesn't have to worry about that too much. So, and then moving on from that, we had Bulla with the PED situation. So he's going to miss 4 games. So I'm not going to speak on him a whole bunch because, Bulla's not a make-or-break guy. He's good to have a solid backup, a guy with some experience who's been around for a little bit. But as far as, any real concern about him being gone, I don't see any gap there. I don't see I don't really see any necessary reason to panic. I don't necessarily think he'll be missed over those 4 games. I'm sure one of these guys will step in and definitely fill up that role. So, like I say, Bulla's not really a big worry about him, not too concerned. We got a couple of guys, Tony Washington, and it's another guy, damn it, what is his name, that they've been talking about. I want to say Tony Washington, and I've heard the name a little bit. I'm going to be honest, like I say, I want to say I've seen more special team from, like I said, I'm just looking over right. I'm familiar with the name, but if I sit here and say and I harp on him and say, "Oh man, yeah, this dude, this, and this," I remember the guy making a couple plays, but I can't just say, anything super spectacular about him. I'm gonna be honest with you; it's just nothing. I'm not recalling anything necessarily specific right now. But some of these younger guys that are coming in, and actually, as I'm thinking about it, I didn't really harp on McKinney too much. I want to talk about McKinney. We were talking about younger guys, now I'm thinking about it. McKinney is a guy that I haven't really spoke on a lot when I've been talking about this defense, when he's an integral piece to this machine and how it works. Like I say, he's out there directing guys. He's contemplating for such a young guy. He's taking on a heavy load. I want to say he led the team in tackles last year with I want to say 150 something. Now, don't get me wrong. Like I say, I'm not a big stat guy when it comes to football because I don't think stats tell the story. So I'm not memorizing everybody's stats and doing all that other shit. There's basic stats that apply that do matter, but when you try to get into those advanced analytics and all those things, I'm not a fan of that because there are too many factors that on the field of play in football that, advanced analytics, I don't think it necessarily. I mean, you can take the numbers and do things with them, but to me, it just, that works in basketball and baseball more so. So, like I say, but I want to say, anyway, basic stats. I want to say he led the team in tackles with either 150, some 120. So I can't recall. I'm sure, enough SauceNation, they're going to be on point. They'll definitely, I know y'all will definitely have that info. But McKinney is a guy that we definitely need to, when I say we're not going to have to pay a lot of attention to him because he's going to make us pay attention. Like I say, behind that front, I mean, because with offense, they're going to have so much trouble worrying about stopping those guys up front that, I mean, linebackers are going to be flying all over the place. I mean, making plays. I mean, like I said, you have to excuse me because I get in my head, I just start thinking about how to get excited. But, man, the linebacker will be flying free, making plays all over the place. And like I say, McKinney's not a guy that we have to worry about. I only see improvement from him. And like I say, looking at some of these younger guys, like some of the guys that we picked up, I mentioned before I was high on the Avery Williams kid. A little shorter than I like, but his game film, the dude was just flying everywhere, making plays. I don't know about him being a starter if he makes the cut at all, but I could definitely see him contributing on special teams. But like I say, as the thing goes on, we hear more things coming out of practices and stuff like that. We'll know more. I know a lot of people are extremely high on the Dylan Cole kid. I think that was a gold mine find for the Texans. I was not familiar with him, initially, and like I said, as I started to pay a little bit more attention, and he turned out to be, I guess, the highest paid UDFA that we had. He had a $27,000 signing bonus, which is cool. Because, compared to everybody else, those guys don't really make a lot of money. But then compared to, normal everyday citizens, they make a fucking ton of money. So anyway, but Cole, so obviously there's some things that the Texans see in him and they like about him too, to, if he's the highest paid undrafted guy. But then again, we'll see how that all pans out. Because you got a lot of guys who can be weight room warriors, who can be practice squad warriors, and then when the lights come on, they're nowhere to be found. And I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just, pointing this out. But then you have the opposite that happens too. You have a lot of guys, they may not show you a whole lot on the field, during practice. They may not do a lot in the weight room, but it's something about when those bright lights come on, it's something clicks, something switches, And that's just, I'm not saying that it has nothing to do with this guy or that guy. I'm just saying these are things that we have to pay attention to, especially, during these light practices where there's no pads and things like that. But getting back to it, like I said, Williams was a guy that I liked. Scarlett is a guy that's definitely going to make a leap that I think we need to pay attention to. Like I said, I forgot about him a little bit, and then as I kind of been refreshing myself and catching back up on some things, he's going to be one to watch. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we're going to hear McKinney, so we don't have to watch him. He's going to make his name known. But I think Scarlett's going to come through in some crucial situations and definitely make up for, missing Simon and some of these other guys that, we end up missing. Like I say, I'm trying to make sure we got everybody. Shaquille Rashad, not familiar with, to be honest with, but I'm hearing things about the guy. And like I said, I just kind of picking up some notes. Like I really can't give you enough about him. So if you guys have something on him, I definitely appreciate you, sharing me your input, what you guys have heard about him. Because like I said, man, I'm just be honest with you, I don't really have a shit ton of information on him, so I really can't tell you. And the Gemmel president kid, I'm not super familiar with either. And so, like I said, if you guys know anything about those two guys, or any of the newer, younger guys that are coming in, definitely share that with me. Because, like I said, it's a conversation. I'm a fan, just like you guys are a fan. I just love talking about my team. So, with that being said, like I said, just kind of touching on a couple of those guys. Of course, SauceNation, I always want your opinion. I always want to know how you feel. Personally, I think the line, our D line is going to be our strongest unit, but we have a very solid backer core. Who do you think is going to be the guy to make the biggest splash at linebacker this year? Who's going to make the biggest improvement? So I know it'll be harder for guys like Mercilus and McKinney to definitely improve. And Cushing, he's getting a little older. I don't expect improvement, but I expect veteran leadership from him. So who do you guys think is going to be, make the biggest name for themselves this year, who may have previously not been unknown, or maybe a rookie coming in, undrafted free agent? Who is the most interesting linebacker that you think that we have on the Texans? Who do you think is the guy that, or who is the guy that you're paying the most attention to? With that being said, like I said, I mentioned a couple things I said I'd speak on it at the end. If you didn't catch the very important update video, please go catch that, because I'm just saying I'm going to change a few things. Like I said, I'm going to minimize some of the 420 friendliness on the Sauce Sports channel, but I do want to do a thing a couple of days a week. It'll be called a Sauce Sports session, so if you're 420 friendly, or even if you're not, but it'll be like a live stream where, that's where, the partaking will be. And like I say, if you're really into it for the 420 friendly content, I have a channel called the Cushing. I'm going to start doing more uploading on that. And kind of angle at that. So, and I'm saying, I want to focus more on getting some more growth on this channel. And like I say, man, I love SauceNation and everybody who comments, who send me stuff. But like I say, I was kind of busy this weekend working on improving some things, and so I haven't got to get to a lot of comments, but I'm gonna get back to all those. I'm gonna catch up. And man, like I say, I hope y'all having a happy Memorial Day weekend. I hope y'all have had a happy Memorial Day. I hope everything's good with your families. And stay safe, Sauce Nation. I'm Ed Honcho. Remember, at the real Ed Honcho, you can catch me on Instagram and Twitter. But if you want that Houston-only flavor on them Houston sports, then you go to Sauce Sports HTX, saucesports.com is where you can catch me. And check out the Sauce Sports Facebook page. Subscribe and like to the channel. Hit the notification bell. All those good things that I must say before I get up out of here. But like I said, deuce up. Sweating like a motherfucker. Deuce up, I'm Ed Honcho. I'm out, Sauce Nation. Y'all be cool.